Here is a testimonial for the highest paid part-time job in the world from Katrina Alexander.
So I'm approaching 3 years in this academy. All of my accounts have increased trading, investments, business, and personal accounts. This academy can produce results in all areas of your life when you do the work. Yes, you have to work on your psychology and mindset to get the results.
We're going to be looking at Ralph Lauren, so thank you for tuning into the video. And people that may not know what Ralph Lauren is, they're a retailer. They sell a lot of clothing, but they also sell a lot of home accessories. But I think they would do the majority of their volume on clothing. Now, looking at Ralph Lauren, what we're seeing a breakdown of the chart. They hit that 190 level, and they started to break down, and they're under now the 50-day moving average, right? They've gapped down under that, and now we're starting to move down towards the 200. So the question we want to ask ourselves is, how much farther do they move down? Do we think that they fill this gap up, right? So we haven't filled it up all the way. Do we think we fill this gap up? Or do we think buyers start to come in, let's say between like maybe 138 and maybe this 150 area, okay? So we got this gap, and now we're starting to move down off of that. We still haven't hit the 200-day moving average. Now, if you go all the way back, let's say maybe go to the 2-year, let's go to the 5, and we zoom out, what we see is that we have rejected these prices around this 175 to maybe 185 level previously. So between 2010 and let's say maybe 2014, 2015, we kept getting into this particular range of prices and we kept rejecting it, right? So there's a historical rejection of these particular prices. Some people don't like to look that far back on the chart. I do it just to look at it so I can understand where has the market rejected these prices before, or where has the market bought into these particular prices. So we see that historically we've rejected these prices, right? So we understand that the market may be resistant to paying these prices that we were currently at, that we rejected again. We see we are still currently paying out our dividend, and we want to always make sure that we take that into account when we're looking at a stock and where we think the price could go. Okay, so let me go back to the yearly. Let's go to the 2-year really quickly. Let's go to the monthly candle. And we're seeing that on the monthly candle, we're red, and we can kind of understand the way we sold off this month. And then maybe as we close this month off, we'll get a really red monthly candle, which means that we were bearish on the month. And then how do we think we go into the month of May? When looking at the monthly candles on the 2-year, we see that we are bearish on the month. So let me go back to the 1-year. So we're seeing this particular chart start to break down. We're seeing really, really aggressive selling day after day through the whole month of April, right? 2 green days, 3 green days, but pretty much really aggressive selling, gap down, right? Keep selling, keep selling, keep selling. So what we're seeing is that people started to see this particular situation as being too expensive. Now we look at Ralph Lauren, they've got it down on the EPS for next earnings, which is going to be on May 23rd, big guide down. And it looks like people are looking to get out in anticipation of that thing coming in line with expectations and them feeling like I'm overpaying for this particular ticker at this time, right? Let me zoom back out on the 1-year. It was relatively flat till November. And then like a lot of stocks in the month of November of last year, people started buying into it really, really aggressively. We still got a lot of money on the sidelines, people looking for places to put their money. Now, when you're looking at this ticker for a bearish standpoint, one of the risks, again, that we talked about, really, really small float, 38.22 million. You got 11% of the float being shorted. Therefore, if you get some good news, good earnings, it can put a lot of pressure on shorts to have to cover. And then that cover is going to create more demand on the particular stock. And you can see the share price start to move up. This company, to me, is not really managed bad, right? It's retail. So retail is going to have cycles. It's going to have trends. You got to understand that. Ralph Lauren, they do have a core customer base, but they got to kind of figure out what trends are they going to go after to keep those customers buying, and also how do they bring in new customers of clothing, which is not something that people really need, but it's something that people want. So they're kind of like in a disposable or the consumer discretionary area, right? So if I was bullish, what I'll be looking for is earnings and good guidance, and expecting that guidance to take me back up towards 190. But here's the challenge. If we rejected 190, not only twice this year, but historically we rejected those price points, then the question is, what is it going to take for the market to want to buy this company at higher and higher prices? Because they're going to have to believe some type of growth narrative to where if I'm buying at 180, maybe 185, 190, I can get, 25, 30, even greater appreciation of that particular share price over the next 12 to 24 months, right? Or we no longer believe in that. let's take this thing back down to these ranges and then build it back up again and just continue to follow that particular pattern, right? Because if we look at it before we had that really strong move up in November, we were very much kind of between that maybe 125 to 130 range, and we kept trading within that range from around 2021 to the end of last year. And so what this could be is just a really strong range bound ticker that may not deserve to be at these higher prices. That's something that we want to take into account, right? However, we're under that 50-day moving average. We're getting ready to move towards this 200-day. But again, do we get buyers starting to come in around this particular level, or does this thing keep breaking down? But what you're seeing is a very, very aggressive breakdown. They're selling the hell out of this stock, especially on the gap down. I know a lot of people probably thought that, 1.4 million on volume, they thought this one green day was going to save it. But what you see when you're seeing these small candles, so look at the open and the close. Open at 176 flat, so 176 on the button. It closed at 176.19. So there wasn't a really strong range between the open and the close, right? So what you didn't see is buyers come in and close it at a much higher price than the open, which means what? People didn't have a lot of confidence in it. Then you look at the next day, what do you see? It opened at 175, right? It opened at 175.63 and it closed at 173.14, right? The next day, it opened at 175 and it closed at 171. Then we get another green day. We open at 171.69. We close at 171.95. On the days in which buyers came in, they really didn't move the price that far off the open for the close. But when you see a ticker open at a certain price and it closed damn near at that same price, it means buyers are not that confident, right? And then when you see a ticker open at one price and when they close it, they take it down $2 or $3 on the close, it means sellers are very, very confident. They're very confident that we can continue to sell this thing down. So that's something that you want to understand. On the green days, you're not seeing a lot of difference between the open and the close on the price, which lets me know, in my opinion, that buyers are not really confident. So until I start seeing really confident buyers like I have here, right, especially on this build up here, where buyers are really, really confident and you start seeing them lose confidence, and that's why we started seeing this selling here. But they were very confident on this particular movement. Until I start seeing that type of confidence in buyers, I'm not really believing that they think that they are buying this at a price that'll be greater in the future. So that's pretty much going to be it on this particular trade. Hope you got some value from it. Talk to you later.